Hello, everybody. Today I'll be reading a verse out of the book of Nehemiah, but I would like to give some context first. Nehemiah is a very interesting book in that Nehemiah, one of the prophets, leaves a king that he was serving under to go back to Israel, to go back to Jerusalem and rebuild the city because the enemies of Israel came and destroyed the city and so on. So he went back and stayed there for a couple of years, I'm not exactly sure, and he riled up the people, his fellow men and fellow families, etc. And they all came together and rebuilt the whole city. And when it was built, I think it said about 40,000 people there. Not all of them helped rebuild the city, but around that gives us a good estimate of how many did actually help. But they worked with such enthusiasm, and that's what I want to share about today. And this relates to us spiritually in our modern world. And the verses are Nehemiah chapter 4, verses 21 to 23. We worked early and late, from sunrise to sunset, and half the men were always on guard. I told everyone living outside the walls to stay in Jerusalem. That way their servants could help with guard duty at night and work during the day. During this time, none of us, not I, nor my relatives, nor my servants, nor the guards were with me, ever took off their clothes. We carried our weapons with us at all times, even when we went for water. Now, one thing I want us to understand this verse for us living in the modern age is that spiritually we should be like them, that they worked hard and were always ready. They had swords on them, even for going to water. You know how animals like gazelles go to watering holes where crocodiles are, and they're extremely careful. That's how they were. They were surrounded by enemies, and they had their weapons on them at all times. Could you imagine having a construction worker around your city always having a sword on you just in case? It's something like that. And they were always ready, and that's how we should be spiritually ready for when the enemy does attack and tempt us. And that they always had their clothes on. They always had verses memorized, always had something to be ready for spiritual warfare. That's how we should try to understand this verse today as modern Christians. And it's not the only way to understand it. Obviously, there's historical meaning towards, but that's one thing I got out of this verse, and I thought it was very special. God bless.